Hello and welcome to United Report. This is your home for all the latest Manchester United news, match updates, transfer stories, and in-depth analysis. Stay connected and never miss a moment. Subscribe now to stay ahead with everything happening at Old Trafford. Manchester United defender Lisandro Martinez has hit back at Paul Scholes after the club legend criticised him, saying the ex-midfielder wouldn't survive in Argentina. Martinez has been ruled out for the rest of the season after it was confirmed the 27-year-old had suffered an anterior cruciate injury in his knee following United's 2-0 home defeat to Crystal Palace earlier this month. Before then, Martinez had been a near ever-present for the Red Devils, but has been involved in some dismal team performances that have seen United fall to 13th in the Premier League table. Scholes recently slammed Martinez when discussing United's lack of quality to win titles. He said the former Ajax defender was not at the level the club need to return to the glory days. Speaking on the overlap fan debate via Sky Bet, he said, even when Martinez is fit, he's not good enough to win the Premier League with. Martinez was clearly fired up by Scholes' words as he fired back in a post on Instagram, replying, "This Jinx guy is really hurting. You put him in Argentina and he wouldn't survive." Scholes is never afraid to speak his mind about United players, and recently said he would include Martinez in 8 players the club should sell, as well as Marcus Rashford, Matthijs de Ligt, Luke Shaw, Mason Mount, Casemiro, Antony and Joshua Zirkzee. Martinez, who arrived for £55 million in 2022, is not the only United defender who came under fire from Scholes. The 50-year-old also savaged de Ligt, calling him a concern while also critiquing Leny Yoro. His de Ligt's age 25, and his amount of clubs already concerns me. He was brilliant at Ajax, he seems to be getting worse as he gets older. Bayern Munich, Juventus, they've let him go for some reason. Where are your ambitions? I'm talking about getting a team to win the Premier League. Are you going to win the Premier League with de Ligt and Yoro as your centre-halves? You a fan said you think they're quite good. Is quite good good enough? Look, Yoro is a young player, but I haven't liked what I've seen so far. Did you see the Southampton game? He's a young player, he's one centre-half I would keep when I talk about that spine and 2 centre-halves. Manchester United would have to stump up around £50 million if they want to sign Crystal Palace forward Jean-Philippe Mateta, according to reports. The 27-year-old has been in superb form for Oliver Glasner's side, scoring 6 goals in his last 5 Premier League games and turning the heads of Europe's elite in the process. According to The Sun, Lyon are now keeping tabs on the Frenchman in a move that would be controversial, given that the club's owner John Textor is the largest shareholder at Palace. The report says a number of Premier League sides are chasing Mateta, but that any club who wants to sign him will have to pay £50 million at least for a player who is only getting better at Selhurst Park after reaching 42 goals in total since joining in 2021. Last season, Mateta hit 19 goals in all competitions, and United were tipped to sign the striker by Paul Merson amid their struggles up front. United signed Joshua Zirkzee from Bologna this season, but the Dutchman has had trouble adapting to life at Old Trafford with just 5 goals, while Rasmus Højlund has 7 in total. Amorim even tried playing Kobbie Mainoo as a false 9, ironically, in a 2-0 home loss to Palace, where Mateta scored a fantastic brace. Merson told Sky Sports this week, "Man United should get Mateta. That's what they need. He's a strong lad up front, playing at the top of his game. He leads the line, scoring goals now. He runs and works his socks off harder than anyone you know. He's 100 times better than anyone Manut have in the front line. Not Amad Diallo. He's a young kid, but he's much better than Højlund and Zirkzee at the moment." It comes after Spanish outlet Fichajes claimed Barcelona are also interested, seeing the forward as an alternative to first-choice Robert Lewandowski. His contract expires in 2027, and is not the only Palace player being chased ahead of a possible summer move, with defender Mark Guehi being linked with an exit after the club rejected a bid from Tottenham in January. Manchester United are continuing to keep tabs on Matheus Cunha, with the Wolves star inserting a release clause into his new deal. The forward remains the leading light at Molineux and was heavily linked with the exit door in January, but ultimately chose to remain and penned a new deal which tied him down until 2029. That hasn't stopped admirers circling, however, as he continues to perform. United were among those who considered making a move last month as they sought a goalscorer. Cunha also remains on the radar of Tottenham, with the two teams monitoring him closely, reports AS come June. Cunha will be available for around £60 million. That fee is set regardless of whether Wolves remain in the top flight or drop down to the Championship. Either way, the figure is more than achievable for a number of potential suitors. Wolves continued to reject any interest they received in the new year. Arsenal were keen, whilst Nottingham Forest were prepared to part with a club record fee to land the forward, but Cunha's club never considered selling. His new deal was announced after he helped Wolves overcome Aston Villa in a Midlands derby. He scored as they secured a 2-0 victory, which aided their survival hopes, and new head coach Vitor Pereira said the former Atletico Madrid forward is committed to the club and their ambitions. Pereira said he knows in the future he can play for the best teams in England, but he's committed with us. He has the conscience that it is very important, if he leaves, to leave the club in the Premier League. He has this quality. He is a special player. He has the quality to get the ball and create a goal alone. Wolves initially signed Cunha on loan from Atletico in December 2022 in a deal that had the potential to reach £35 million. If he were to leave, they would make a sizable profit. Those in Manchester are more likely to initially pursue Sporting Lisbon's Victor Gyökeres, but will no doubt consider a move for Cunha if they cannot land the Swede. Amorim'S signed Gyökeres when he was at Sporting, and there is an expectation that he will look to reunite with the player. The tune from the away section half an hour in at Anfield was familiar Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. The name wasn't. That six-syllable chorus had long been reserved for "Oh, Robin van Persie" among Manchester United supporters. Last month, a different Dutchman was serenaded to the song. Joshua Zirkzee's warm-up in the first half at Liverpool marked a sea change. A week that had started with one of the most galling humiliations for a United player at Old Trafford ended with vocal support. It could have got better had Harry Maguire kept Zirkzee's bobbly square pass down in added time. It did get better a week later in the FA Cup third round at Arsenal. After Lenny Yoro converted in the shootout to put United 3-1 up, Bruno Fernandes prodded Zirkzee in the chest and offered him a few words. The message: be ready to win it. Lisandro Martinez scored United's fourth spot kick, so Zirkzee stepped up for the fifth. United fans had promised, if Zirkzee scores, we're on the pitch. Zirkzee held up his end of the bargain. United were in the velvet bag for the fourth round draw and the fifth. Their progress to the last 16 of the FA Cup is largely down to Zirkzee's impact against Leicester City on Friday night. He equalised, and his general play ensured United rendered the memory of the stultifying first hour inconsequential. The 23-year-old is becoming an unlikely cult figure at United. The loyalists among the matchgoers railed against the heckles and booing Zirkzee was subjected to when he was removed in the 33rd minute against Newcastle, and now a match does not go by without an airing of Zirkzee's chant. He has only got 5 goals in 36 appearances, and Zirkzee has failed to score in 32 of those. But it is one more than Radamel Falcao and as many as Alexis Sanchez. One hopes for Zirkzee's sake this is the only time he is bracketed with those two duds. Even before his career nadir against Newcastle, a well-placed figure at United stressed the club was intent on supporting Zirkzee and hopeful there was a lot more to come. We are starting to see glimpses. Zirkzee has been a contentious figure in a sorry season. He was the lightning rod that legislated for Dan Ashworth's defenestration as sporting director. Club figures claim Zirkzee was not an Erik Ten Hag-led signing, and Ashworth bristled when the deal was questioned during his sole interaction with the dedicated correspondents in September. Ten Hag had no direct connection with Zirkzee, but nor did he with Tyrell Malacia or Wout Weghorst. Nearly a quarter of the Dutchmen who have played for United were signed on Ten Hag's watch. The Newcastle night could have been a career killer for Zirkzee. Interest from Italian clubs seeking a cut price move for a player proven in Serie A soon emerged. Carrington sources say Zirkzee pushed back against the possibility of a mid-season move and was adamant he would stay. Zirkzee is popular in the United dressing room and has an easygoing sense of humour, which helped in the aftermath of the Newcastle substitution. United insiders say he did not feel sorry for himself or cry in a corner. He had to be coaxed back out to the dugout, having headed straight down the tunnel after he fetched a coat. Some supporters booed Zirkzee when he disappeared from view. After he re-emerged, there was encouraging applause as some sought to counter those who had audibly turned against him. Zirkzee was on the pitch at full time to applaud supporters in defeat. Zirkzee's presence helps. He is 6 feet 4 inches, and figures at United talk about him being seen rather than heard. Zirkzee has been a laconic interviewee on his 2 stop-offs in the Old Trafford mixed zone. He is not a demonstrative character, a club source said. In the days after the Newcastle defeat, those at the United training complex noticed Zirkzee was affected by his substitution, as any player would be. But his calmness has been apparent since his first day in Manchester, and he is regarded as a quietly determined character with an underrated steeliness. Zirkzee is never seen out and about in Cheshire. There has been a willingness from United staff for Zirkzee to succeed. He has gritted his teeth and got on with it since the turn of the year, producing influential performances in vital triumphs against Arsenal, Southampton and Leicester City on Friday. Nobody, least of all Zirkzee, is pretending he has cracked it. Ruben Amorim immediately substituted Zirkzee against Bournemouth in December after he lost an aerial duel, and he has not started in United's past 4 games. Of the 2 strikers, Zirkzee is more sellable than Højlund. He cost roughly half the price, and there is a market for him in Italy. He may yet be 1 season and done at United, who will target a goalscorer in the summer. The Leicester goal ended a drought of 11 goalless games, and Zirkzee went 17 without scoring between August and December. Whether he is a number 9, a 10, or whatever, he has got to pump his numbers up.